Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Now, my last two videos had to do with some rather interesting topics. One, of course, was about the new Ripple customer who will be utilizing on-demand liquidity, meaning, of course, XRP is a bridge currency. And then I had another video with, it was citing Anthony Pompliano, who was interviewed by Julia Chatterley on CNN very recently. And he was talking about, from his perspective, XRP has no utility. He actually says that. And that's me kind of paraphrasing it, but he absolutely says no utility. That is definitely his stance here. And so, given that XRP clearly has utility, if not, I'll tell you what, Anthony Pompliano, what do you know that Ripple's couple dozen customers utilizing on-demand liquidity for utility purposes, what do you know that they don't? I would like to know that. So anyway, given I already ran through that, I'm not going to talk about those a whole lot in this video. I thought it would be fun to run through this one, which is titled, it's from Daily Huddle, it's titled, Bitcoin Narrative Collapses. Gold is jewelry. Experts weigh in on safe haven assets. I'm going to run through that. I've also got a number of comments from XRP community members that I want to share with you in this video. And then I'm going to wrap up with this funny piece. And this is from XRP The Standard Productions, which puts out this blog. It's on Coil. And basically, the way I always describe this, it's like The Onion, but just for the XRP community. If you know what The Onion is, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, just look up The Onion. You should be able to find what I'm talking about. It's a fake news source. It's just they parody all sorts of stuff. I'm not talking about actual onions. But anyway, and so this one I actually have not read yet. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of run through it. We can experience this together for the first time. It's going to be so romantic together, just me and you. Get ready for it. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, you done came to the right place, son. Go ahead and then subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, because you know you ain't got nothing better to do. Just hang out with me. It's going to be a good time. Let's dig into this first piece. Bitcoin slide below the psychological level of $9,000 is debunking the narrative that geopolitical uncertainty from coronavirus fears and a sizable hit to the stock market would drive more investors to the leading cryptocurrency. Now, by the way, I want to be clear. I have cited this in the past that, from my perspective, everything that I've said, I'm always giving as honest an opinion as I possibly can. I don't think that there's enough evidence to indicate that any cryptocurrency should be considered a safe haven from anything. It behaves as that at times, and then at other times it doesn't. So to call it that, I don't know. And to be clear, I'm not saying that cryptocurrencies won't, over the long haul, prove to be safe havens. I'm not making that point. I'm indicating that today, from my perspective, there's not enough data out there to draw that firm conclusion, despite how many Bitcoin maxis out there want to paint it as though it is, as a matter of fact, the case. It just is not, as a matter of fact, the case. Now, with the Dow plunging 6.6% and shedding 1,877 points in the past 5 days, Bitcoin has made a similar move to the downside, dipping 7% from $9,663 to $8,985 at time of writing. According to Bitcoin critic and gold proponent Peter Schiff, Bitcoin's safe haven narrative has gone bust, and all that's left is a pivot to a new tune. Quote, Bitcoin is an uncorrelated asset. Says the Breakdown host Nathaniel Whitmore via Twitter, quote, as a dude who spends a lot of time on narratives, Bitcoin as uncorrelated has always been the narrative base case. The flirtation with safe haven has been driven by a couple moments, a belief in future potential, and a bet that some might put a down payment on that future. Okay. Now, Luke Martin, trader, analyst, and founder of Venture Coinist, tells his 214 followers, quote, Bitcoin has been uncorrelated to other asset classes. If stocks drop, this does not mean Bitcoin has to pump. If gold climbs, this does not mean Bitcoin will rise with it every time. Not negative or positive. Uncorrelated. Narratives will go... narratives will come and go, which is closer to the truth, I would say. Schiff cries foul on all the Bitcoin supporters and says the gig is up. And here's a quote. On CNN, Anthony Pompliano, Morgan Creek Digital co-founder, admitted that Bitcoin isn't a safe haven, but a non-correlated asset, meaning regardless of what other assets do, Bitcoin is as likely to go up or go down as up. So the value of Bitcoin is that no one has any idea what its price will do. What's that worth? Gotta love Peter Schiff selling his yellow rocks. He's a fun dude right there. Oh man, just everybody disagreeing with everybody. Schiff says that Pomp's wrong about Bitcoin. Pomp says that the XRP community is wrong about XRP. And there you go. It's just, can we all just get along up in here? Now, according to Pompliano, the uncorrelated asset will be worth around $100,000 by the end of 2021. Now, that's a prediction that you're just pulling out of somewhere, I'd say. Add Schiff, quote, Bitcoin is neither money nor a currency. It's a digital asset. The question Anthony Pompliano and I are debating is whether it's a safe haven asset that stores value over time or a risk asset with a market price that can rise or fall substantially over time. The answer is obvious. Well, hey, at least at this point, Peter Schiff is acknowledging that Bitcoin is a digital asset, so progress on that front, I guess. And then here's the rest of his quote. During the recent global stock market rout, investors dumped risk assets and fled to their safe haven of choice. Bitcoin not only followed risk assets lower, but led the decline. How can an asset that falls more than risk assets during market declines be considered a safe haven? And I'm with Peter on that, to be perfectly frank. Like, I don't think you can reasonably call it a safe haven yet. And maybe it will be one, and time will bear that out. It's simply not today. There's just not enough data. And then here's the rest of the quote from Peter Schiff. We've been climbing this wall of worry, so I think too many people look to take profits. They really have no idea how high the price of gold is going to go, and it's not the coronavirus that's driving it. It's Fed monetary policy. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. As the digital gold narrative falls apart, as did the digital currency narrative that preceded it, Bitcoin pumpers are pivoting to the non-correlated asset angle. They argue Bitcoin should be bought because it's uncorrelated to every other financial asset, including gold. Well, I'll say this. Regardless of what the narrative is that you believe individuals within the Bitcoin community are pushing, it doesn't matter, because people are not buying it for those narrative reasons. Not those ones, not specifically. Maybe you can find some, but to me that would probably be just more anecdotal cases. I think that's pretty clear based on the data. That's my opinion. But they're buying it because they know, even if they're buying Bitcoin, they know that there's something to this whole crypto thing, because you can do things with cryptocurrencies. You can do things that you can't do with fiat currencies, and that implies right there there's real world utility. And so the debate's still up for around which cryptocurrencies will the bulk of this utility end up. And to me, XRP is a clear leader here, that it's actually getting used. But that's the type of reason that people are in investing in crypto. Not all, though. There's a lot more to it than that. Other people are here for ideological reasons, and I get that too. But the idea that it's just some people citing this narrative is that's what's actually leading it. I don't subscribe to that concept here. Next, here's a tweet from Dan J, at DanJ_DE on Twitter, who tagged me and wrote this along with a very brief video here, which I'll explain here. It's a 6-second video. He writes this. Have a look at these XRP and Bitcoin twin graphs here. Is there anybody left who really believes any other crypto asset out there managed to decouple from Bitcoin yet? So tired of seeing this, I actually can hear Moon Lambo playing this in his videos, and he's got the laughy emoji. And so what's on the screen here in the 6-second video, he's flipping back and forth, which I actually frequently do in my videos on 24-hour charts just to illustrate this. You can see there's Bitcoin in yellow, and then there's XRP price in blue. And as he flips back and forth, those are the XRP and Bitcoin charts of the same time period, and damn, they look the same, do they not? It's a point I make frequently. XRP is coupled to Bitcoin, even if at times it doesn't look that way. Zoom out on a chart, I'm assure you absolutely that it is. So anyway, shout out to you, and thanks for tagging me. I do appreciate it. All right, here's a tweet from Boyd Oaks that I came across and liked, and I thought I'd share it with you. And he writes this. I'm bullish on XRP. Why? Hopium dealers? No. Charts? No. Riddles? No. I've been bullish since I read up on Ripple years ago. The problem they seek to solve is real, and their relentless pursuit of their laser-focused goal is all I need to remain bullish. No BS needed. And I think that pretty well speaks for itself. So I'll kind of leave it at that, but I thought I'd highlight it. Take a look at this one. It's from Papa Bear XRP. This is another tweet I came across. XRP, I can't get my head around 24-cent XRP again, and it's not done yet? 15 cents? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Can anyone give me 5 reasons why I shouldn't sell every one of my XRP and delete my Twitter account today? Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't offer financial advice, but I think it's fun to comment on stuff like this, and I can understand the frustration, so I respect where people are coming from when they see stuff like this, just to be clear. But to me, it's not that complex. It's what I just said a couple tweets ago here when I covered that other tweet show, flipping flat back and forth between the charts. XRP's following Bitcoin. It's really not more complex than that. And my whole thesis is that utility matters will win the day. And so I can't tell you when the market will mature enough to parse out differences between cryptocurrencies sufficiently, but I believe it will happen. Because there's just a frenzy around it now, and I think that this is just how people behave when there's a new exciting technology that can really transform the world in a meaningful way, and I think that it's going to get figured out over time. So again, not financial advice, and I'm not telling you what to do, for sure. Don't buy or sell because of that, but I'm happy to chime in just with my personal opinion here. And so I'm going to sit tight here, and throughout all the volatility, I don't care. It doesn't affect me, and I believe that XRP will be worth eventually substantially more than it is today. All right, now here's a tweet from Crypto Maniac 101, and I want to be clear here that I believe that he's just being sarcastic here. Okay, I think that he's more of a pro XRP guy. I've seen tweets from him before. I believe I've highlighted him on the channel a couple times, but here's what he wrote. Time to dump XRP, guys. Heard it will crash this year, and obviously there are no fundamentals that would suggest that it will ever be used by the banks. And so even though I believe that actually is sarcasm, I thought I'd highlight this anyway, and I'm not going to read any of this, but I just want to highlight this. Here's an article from November 9th. One of Peru's largest banks will utilize XRP for cross-border payments, the ripple effect. And there are quotes in here, which I'm not going to read, not going to run through. There's a bank called Interbank, and they absolutely have announced that they are going to be using XRP. So there you go. Will banks use XRP? There you go. Answer is yes. Firm yes. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this this last piece now, which usually this guy's stuff is pretty funny, so let's see what we got here. But this is titled, Hangry David Schwartz Pulls Fire Alarm to End Long Meeting with Central Bankers. And what a picture. This is perfect. You picked the perfect David Schwartz picture for this. All right, feeling ever-increasing hunger pangs and getting more and more annoyed as each second ticked by in the 5+ hour meeting with Bank of America and HSBC executives, David Schwartz, CTO of blockchain payments company Ripple, decided to take matters into his own hands Tuesday and firmly yank down on a nearby fire alarm to put an end to the insufferable tedium. What a word choice. I like that. The insufferable tedium. I'm gonna try and use that in the future. Next time I have to respond to a Bitcoin maxi, I'm gonna say, "Oh, what insufferable tedium." That's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, it continues here. 5 hours, really? Said Schwartz, tearing into a slice of medium rare ribeye while shaking his head about the agony of meeting with central bankers for such an extended period of time. I know, everyone wants to talk to Ripple, but for F-word's sake, a guy gets hungry, am I right? There's a picture of steak here. This is fantastic. Here's the caption for the steak picture. The sliced medium rare ribeye that Ripple CTO David Schwartz was willing to maliciously pull a fire alarm to eat after a meeting with central bankers eclipsed 5 hours. Oh my. Later becoming aware of the stunt, the central bankers reportedly threatened to halt their pending partnership with the Silicon Valley company as CEO Brad Garlinghouse called each executive to profusely apologize. Yeah, right, said Schwartz to XRP Productions reporters as he took his last bite of steak. They'll be back. If there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that they'll be back. Indeed, what insufferable tedium. You gotta love this stuff. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for stopping by. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!